We are back between the tape, Andover Supercross, and I got an absolute flyer of a start. The whole shot hero. Now, if every race this season was to the first corner, I would be on a top winning streak. But unfortunately it's not. We've still got another hour to go. But I got a flying start, and the reason why is because I knew straight away there was 2 pinch points in this start section. The first one was going to be this sand section, so I wanted to get into this first to make sure I had no traffic, nothing going wrong. I decided to get off and run because if you've ever seen me in the sand, I'm a chopper and I fall off quite a lot. And that sand section was uphill, and this one was into a corner, so it just made sense to get through it faster. Plus, I quite like the components on my bike, and I hate the sound of sand in my disc brake pads. I know that's a terrible excuse, but I couldn't have ridden through it anyway. But flying start, and we're coming onto the BMX track, and I almost went full Red Bull rampage right here. I came into this jump here so hot, I nearly took off and went straight over the bars. I had to ease off the next couple of jumps. In the practice lap, I clearly didn't go into it that hot, and I almost went straight over the bars. Absolute numpty. But I was back on it now, and this would have been the next pinch point here. Now, I knew I could ride this next section because a Cotswolds rider, I think it was Paul, shouted at me saying, ride this section as I was going over to the start. And it made a huge difference if you were able to ride that versus having to dismount and run. And also it was just like a big bottleneck if you were further back because you were having to get off, dismount. So I did actually manage to get a bit of a gap, but I came into this corner here so hot, almost went into that Skoda and had to slam the brakes on. But I don't want to put all my excuses out there, but I'm going to give you my excuses. I was unwell leading into this race, and you know when you get going in practice and in the warm-up and you just know your legs feel flat and you don't have that like top end punch that you've had in previous weeks, and I felt that straight away. And my heart rate I think maxed out at like 175, and in previous races I've been hitting like 188, 189, so I was losing like 13-14 beats, and that's a big difference. But I'm going to speed up this little bit because it is a long drag and no one wants to see me on the front, as exciting for me as it was to get to lead a race as I usually do before I absolutely blow my biscuit and the wheels fall off. But we're coming into the rutted section now. This was super tricky. You had your foot out on the left and then you had to dismount here to run. Some people were riding this. I felt like it was faster to run, but you can see there's a little bit of a gap opened up there. That was third place on the left, and it's Chopper Oscar, who is pretty close to my wheel anyways, probably a little bit behind me, but same again. I was just trying as much as I could to put the power down and put the hurt on, but I was putting no hurt on him. In a minute he does come past me, but I wanted to get into some of these more technical sections first because I feel like I'm probably a little bit better than Oscar. He won't mind me saying that in the technical sections like these off-cambers, but I was having a nightmare on this corner and the next bit, and it's purely because the sun was so bright. I didn't have any sunglasses on. I couldn't actually see what line I wanted to take. Terrible excuse again. I'm just pulling out all the excuses left, right and centre. What do you think, Rocket? Good excuse?
No.
No, she's not impressed with the excuses. But down into this downhill section, this was the main bit I wanted to get into before Oscar, because I just felt like I was stronger on them areas, and he's much stronger. He's a roadie. He's much stronger on these flats. So down here I've sped it up again. This is where I felt like I was going as hard as I could. My heart rate's 166, 168, and Oscar just comes past me like an absolute steam train, like I'm not even there. I was absolutely wheels falling off. He come past me and just started whacking it straight away. This bit here, you'd think you'd get a bit of respite down this hill, but you did not. You were getting a strong headwind in your face. And right now, I was just in damage limitation. I knew at this point I had nothing more to give. I went full send off the start to try and see who went with it. Oscar went with it comfortably and then came straight to the front. And my plan was now to be a wheel sucker. I knew I needed to keep my big nose out of the wind, because when I was in the wind earlier on, I didn't have the power, and even just holding Oscar's wheel was really hard because I just felt like I didn't have that little bit of punch. So every time we hit one of those straight sections, and normally I really do like this course because of its technical ability, but my big problem was along these drags. Look, you can see I'm just absolutely holding on for dear life down here, and I'm still having to do like 300, 400, 500 watts then just to hold his wheel. So God knows what the monster's doing out front, but I did want to try and get back into the sand first, and you could see he was making a few little slippy mistakes, but I just couldn't get back past him. And when he dismounted here, he turned into Mo Farah. I'm assuming Oscar watches my videos and he knows that my running is not where it should be. So you can see the gaps are opening up here. He's a super fast runner. It's them lanky legs, Oscar. Look at him. He should be doing park run. But yeah, he opened up a little gap there, and that little run section really put me in a hole. We're like 8 minutes in, and I'm thinking, I am on my limit. I've got no berries, no beans to give, and I'm just trying to cling on to his wheel. And again here, I wanted to get past him for this next section. You'll see I could ride this next climb. Oscar didn't have the ability. No, I'm joking. He was getting off and running. And look here, because of that, I then had to dismount, and it is exactly what I didn't need. A gap opening up, me then having to do a super powerful surge to get back on his wheel. And it's little things like this that make the big difference when you're at that pointy end. Like Ian was saying to me when we spoke, it's not just about being at the front, it's having that little bit more in the tank to be able to go one step further and take a win. And that is what I don't have at the moment, and little mistakes like that just don't help me, having to sprint out of the corners. So one thing I need to try and do, look at here, go on Bambi, whoop, down he goes. You can't park there, Oscar. But yeah, one thing that I've noticed that I need to do is try and get in the more technical sections before Oscar. Now I've said that, he is definitely not going to let me into the technical sections, but you'll see here, coming into like the molehill, I think that's what they called it. I was trying to get past him because yet again I wanted to, but he just, Chopper Oscar loves putting me in the tape. Look, he's sliding all over the place. I tried to go around this side. He shuts the door on me again. So then I switch to the other side. I'm like, I can get past him here. I can get past him into the descent first. What does he do? Puts me in the tape again. Come, have some respect, Oscar. You bloody chopper. You can't teach these kids a little bit of respect. But yeah, I was just trying to get into the technical sections before, but he was just too strong for me. That's it. It's exactly that. He was too strong and he was playing his cards right and blocking me. But just there, he didn't manage to get clipped back in. And that was my saving grace to be able to get back on his wheel, because I knew we were coming back into this drag and I thought, I cannot deal with this now. Another long drag into a headwind. I just need to be on a wheel trying to survive. But after we get down this section, the two of us become 4, and we are then joined by Oscar Hutchins and also Mike, who's a vet 50. Now, say all you want about me getting beaten by a vet 50. I'm not bothered. I'm used to it. Nick Craig beats me week in, week out when I race at his races. But Mike was on it, and as soon as he come round, the two boys applied the pressure. And you'll see here, he decides to remount, and I then don't decide to remount, try to run. But I think his remount was a bad idea, in my opinion. I think I can have a bit of an opinion there, because look at the gap that opened up to Oscar there, because he decided to remount. It was probably slower. You can see I've outran him there, but yet again I was then having to shut a gap down that I just couldn't afford to shut down. What I've learned over the last couple of months racing is these gaps are what destroy me. I need to either be glued to the wheel or on the front, and the problem is when I'm on the front I'm burning too many matches on the power section. So it's a learning curve as I keep progressing. Yet again, you can see there I did almost manage to ride that, but you could see how much of a gap I managed to shut down. And but I did have to put a little foot out of the top and do a little truffle shuffle. But yet again, you can see here, he's not that great at cornering, but super powerful, so I can shut the gap down on these corners, and then I know that coming into this next bit, I'm just going to get absolutely destroyed again. And it was elbow to elbow racing here. Everyone wanted to get the front. Oscar's pushing me into the tape again. Mike managed to take the good line around the inside, then slips out and puts a foot down. And that was where my race went absolutely down the pan. I'm not going to lie. Oscar surged at that point really hard, and I just couldn't go with it. My heart rate's not even anywhere near max. My legs just didn't have that ping that was needed. And you'll see here, Oscar Hutchins sees the danger, comes straight round to shut that gap down. Look, he's gone past me like I'm stood still. And these are the elements that I'm still working on. That power on the flats, I know, is a massive weakness for me. And it's something I'm going to try and improve on. And I think it is mainly just trying to get my top end power up, build my FTP, get my numbers up, and then it will make everything else easier. But I did manage to shut the gap down. But yet again, we got on this little flat section and I just lost the wheel again. Nothing I could do. But what you will notice is I was managing to close the gap down on the technical sections. Look, I got back on them. The problem was every time we got to a drag, it was signed, sealed, delivered, dispatched again because I didn't have the legs. That is my excuse of the day. Absolutely zero legs. But right now I'm just telling myself, do not give up because you're still at the front of the race here and there's still a chance to win. The problem was, I just didn't have it on the day, unfortunately, and we came into this next drag after the hill. Oscar really got out the saddle, started ripping it, and I couldn't even hit my threshold power. I was just absolutely shelled. I was trying everything, and then about a half a lap later, Joe comes past me. Spoiler alert, Joe is the eventual winner. He came past me like a steam train, so I've gone from in the battle for the win to dropping back to 5th. And if I could have gone with Joe at this point, or in a minute, I would have been able to get back to the front of the race, but I just didn't have the legs. He then drops his chain, so I do manage to get back past him just here. So Joe must have been on an absolute flyer. I've got mad respect for him because to come from so far back, drop your chain, and then get back on it. Look, you'll see him come past me here. Like I'm stood still, putting down some power. And these are the efforts that I need to go with. But I'm doing 700 watts, and he's pulling away from me. So God knows what he's doing. You've got some serious numbers that he's doing right there. But from this point, it was just a case of pure survival for me. There was a couple of lads shutting me down. I wasn't a million miles away from the front of the race still, but I just couldn't close the gap down. But I was trying to say to myself, once that group swells, what you always need to remember in cross is it's really easy to give up when you do get dropped. But what you do need to remember is once the group in front swells to 4, which it did, they're going to ease off the pace a little bit, look around and see who wants to take it up. And I was saying to myself, you can see just on the left, there they are. That was the group of 4. And I was telling myself, if they ease up, I could get back on. But unfortunately, they didn't quite ease up enough. So I spent the rest of the race just in absolute no man's land, going round on my own. You could see him on the left there, and as you come back round, it wasn't a big gap, but you know when you're going around these twisty sections, every lap, they're just gaining a couple of metres on you, a few seconds. That was the group of 4 there, so they were only 2 corners away. I couldn't close it down, so it was just a bit of a boring race from here, unfortunately. I spent the last half an hour in no man's land. I tried my absolute best. I was happy with the result. I came away with 5th place. Obviously, my goal is still to win a Wessex League race, which hasn't happened yet. There's still one more race that I'm going to be attending, and I'm also going to be hitting up Ian Field, no S, race in a couple of weeks' time, and national champs. So if you're at any of them, make sure to come along, say hi, and obviously I'm not going to win national champs, but maybe one of those last 2 races of the season I can finally get that win. But obviously not the result I'd hoped for, but still 5th place. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.